Hey, this is Gavin from Atomsk. You're listening to Bullfrog on the Tri-Cities Mixtape.
Hey, this is Harry from Atomsk, and you're listening to Upstate Down North on the Tri-Cities Mixtape.
This is Nathaniel, bass for Atomsk, and you're listening to Pirate King on Tri-Cities Mixtape.
Don't go chasing on your Welcome to the Tri-Cities Mixtape. My name is Miguel Ortiz. Today I have a very young band from Spokane, Washington. We've played their songs a few times before, and every time we've said their name wrong, and I'm gonna say it wrong again now, even though I've heard them say it right for like the last 5 minutes. Here on the Tri-Cities Mixtape from Spokane is Atomsk.
Close.
Pretty good. That's pretty good.
No, that's good.
All right, so we've said Atomsk. We've misgendered you guys a whole bunch of different ways. But so how do you officially say your name?
It's Atomsk.
Atomsk.
So you're saying the word atom, isk.
Isk.
Yeah.
Okay. And do you guys want to share how you came up with that name?
Yeah, that name is from an old anime from the 2000s called Fulikuli, and it's a character in there. It's Atomsk the Pirate King, and it's like a sentient space bird guy thing. So I just thought it was really cool. I've loved that anime since I was a kid, and so I was like,
Yeah, right on.
yeah.
The local band Ava, they also got their name after
Evangelion, yeah.
Evangelion,
We love them. I love
From
Ava.
left to right, who do we have in the room today, and what's your role in the band?
I'm Nathaniel, and I play bass guitar.
I'm Gavin. I play rhythm and vocals.
And I'm Harry, and I'm the drummer.
All right, and we're missing another guitar player, and who is that?
Emmett. He plays lead vocals.
All right,
He's
shout
on
out-
Or sorry,
sabbatical
not
right
lead
now.
vocals, lead guitar. Yeah.
Emmett, surprise, you're the singer now.
Yes.
I hope you can handle that. Memorize all the words.
He's a singer.
Yeah, he has some.
He does
some,
backup singing, and
Oh,
it's
there you go.
They kind of
great.
swap vocals a little bit.
All right. Well, yeah. Shout out to lead guitarist Emmett. So, how did this band come together?
Oh man, so it started off with me and Emmett in our dorm rooms over at Eastern Washington, and it started off as like a slowcore kind of just jam thing. Didn't really have any direction with it. We initially met off Snapchat like the first week of school. He was like 3 doors down from my dorm room, so I just grabbed my guitar, my little amp, walked over. Once it started off slowcore, it then moved more into like, what if we did like more punk songs? And so I spent all of winter break kind of drafting some stuff, and by the time April rolled around, I had 3 somewhat solid songs to kind of turn into a demo that we uploaded. It wasn't until around that time I met Nathaniel and we started jamming. I'm like, I like this dude. He's really cool. He's also in some of my classes, so it won't be like awkward that we only see each other once a week. And we had a previous drummer. His name was Ryder. He just had too many projects going on, so he eventually left. But once summer rolled around, I met Harry. Well, we had a couple classes together over Eastern. Me, Nathaniel, and Harry are all in the same degree.
Yeah.
So we saw each other around. We knew who we were. And yeah, me and Harry started jamming over the summer when it was just me and him. Everyone went home back to their hometowns, and we wrote Pirate King together. That was the
Yeah?
first song we did together.
So, is this band about a year old, or?
Yeah, it's about a year old. I think our official year anniversary was last November, but the first show we played was about a year ago.
Okay, nice. And what was Atomsk's first show?
It was over at Nito Burrito Baby Bar in Spokane.
Oh,
It was
yeah.
with a band called Bug Seance.
You know,
and-
I would say Nito Burrito for the longest time, and now that you've said it, I'm probably gonna start using it again.
Yeah.
So my wife's gonna hate you by next week.
Yeah.
it's just something cool to say, Nito Burrito,
Yeah.
instead of yes or affirmative or whatever.
Nito Burrito. Fuck
Nito
yeah.
Burrito. Anyway, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
So you're that is awesome though. Your first gig being at a burrito joint.
Yeah, it was awesome. It was facilitated by a good friend of ours, Hayes Noble.
No, shout out to Hayes Noble.
Yeah, shout
We've
out
had
Hayes
him on.
Noble. We love that guy.
Yeah.
He invited us to play our first show. We've talked to him a couple times before that, but he played an acoustic set over at Nito Burrito. Pulled a pretty good crowd for us our first time.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Hell yeah. All right, so from left to right again, let's get a quick how you got started in music and how that led you to Atomsk.
Well, I've done music my whole life. Prior to now, kind of more in a classical context. I actually grew up in the Tri-Cities. So I went to Pastoral High School and I did band there and stuff.
What did you play in the band?
I played trombone.
Okay.
I
Will
also
there be trombone on the next Atomsk album?
Yes.
I also
Hardcore ska.
Ska-core.
I also took like some voice lessons here in Richland, and I was in the Mid-Columbia Master Singers for a little bit.
You want to shout out any of your music teachers or vocal teachers?
Yeah, sure. My voice lesson teacher, her name is Molly Holleran. She's an excellent vocal coach.
Shout out.
And extremely talented, and she is a super, super nice person.
All right.
I love Molly. Hi, Molly. Anyway, so yeah, I guess that's where I got started. But like guitar and bass guitar are things I just kind of taught myself for funsies, and what can I say? I just love playing bass.
It's fun.
And Gavin needed a bass player for Atomsk, obviously, and I brought my bass into one of the classes we had at the Eastern Washington University studio for something, and then he's like, "So you play bass, huh?" Yeah, and that's kind of how that got started.
Is this your first band?
Yeah,
Okay.
I was technically in a band for a little bit in like
your
middle
first
school.
musical project?
Yeah, the first one that did anything.
Okay, right on.
I've been trying to write music forever.
The first one that made it out of the basement?
Yeah, basically.
All right, next up.
I've been doing music since I was 12, but I think like this punk-derived hard rock music is fairly new. I started when I was 16. I was in a band called Smokestacks back in my hometown, and we were just kind of like a shitty three-piece. I love playing it, but you know, it was just shows in local area, if not his own basement, that we'd invite other people to. Yeah, that's how I got started. That's how I got introduced to punk to begin with. I feel like everyone just kind of starts with, listen to Misfits. And then eventually my friend Silas was like, listen to Title Fight. It'll change everything. And oh boy, did it change everything. And I'm like, this is awesome. So, because originally I started off doing more like funk R&B kind of stuff, similar to, I mean, the end goal was to try and be like Childish Gambino, you know? So I was doing stuff like that.
So do you rap too? Oh, somebody is nodding yes that does rap. So will there be rap and trombone on the next album?
Yes, we'll be the next ICP. But yeah, that's how I kind of started. And I had the name Atomsk in my head even when I was in Smokestacks. And when I moved up here, I didn't want to just have my ass sitting around doing nothing while I was in college. And I thought it might be a really great opportunity to get involved with the local scene and see some really cool bands and make new friends. And so that's kind of how I jump started into where I'm at now.
And now, Harry, what's your origin story?
Yes. All the way back when I was 7, I got really into Rock Band for Xbox 360.
You're not the first person that Rock Band was their introduction to music.
Really?
Yeah,
That's awesome.
I forget who, but you're not the first.
Yes, and I just loved playing the 4 drum pads with the kick drum, and I just like played that for 4 years, and then I joined like my middle school jazz band, which I was in that for like 4 or 5 years.
As a drummer?
As a drummer, yeah. But I was really into like metal and like, you know, Slipknot and what's the other bit? System of a Down, Avenged Sevenfold. Yeah. I was into all that stuff, and then a lot of emo music, and then that eventually brought me to meeting Gavin, and we met in like a mastering class, and he brought in a really cool emo track, and I loved it, and then we got talking, and then it was like, hell yeah, let's jam.
Right. And is this your first band?
It's my very first band, although
nice.
I've been making music since I was like 13.
Okay.
Shout it out.
I have a solo project called Night Trem.
Night Trem?
Yeah, it's like shoegaze, emo, math rock stuff.
Yes, it's so crazy good.
In any band I've ever been in, I always hated this question, but here I am, like a fucking asshole, asking you guys, what would you guys define as your genre or your sound? You guys have mentioned punk quite a bit, heavy.
Dude, when I play something and it makes my dick a little hard.
Oh my god, okay.
Whatever that is, that's our genre.
We've had
Or chubcore?
Yeah, we chubcore. We've had this discussion so many times. I mean, again, we started off as more punky, but we've just kind of been going with the term post-hardcore, just because we're an amalgamation of genres. I feel I take a lot of hardcore influence.
Oh,
and,
I thought that meant you were a Post Malone hardcore cover band.
No.
Oh, never mind. Leave. You guys got to leave.
Yeah, no.
No, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
But yeah, I take a lot of hardcore influence and a lot of heavier punk, and our lead guitarist Emmett loves like shoegaze and stuff, and so, and Harry kind of has like some metal drum bits that he does, which is really cool. And yeah, again, it's just like an amalgamation of genres that we put together, and we don't really know how to describe it other than just post-hardcore.
Right.
Some bands that we kind of look up to or take inspiration from are like Modern Color and like Donovan Wolfington, a band called Kid Coast back from my hometown. It's just
What's your home now?
Longview, Washington.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Shout
and so
out
it's
to
just
Longview, Washington.
shout out Longview, Washington. And so just stuff like that. It's again really hard to describe because we're not just shoegaze, we're not just punk.
Right.
It's yeah. So.
So you mentioned your guys' first gig earlier as a band. What do you guys remember, and we'll go in the same order, of the first time you performed publicly, be it in choir or basement show or talent show,
Ever?
backyard barbecue, where you put yourself in front of other people and you're like, hey, look, I can do a thing. Look at me.
I mean, like, I was in band in elementary school, so I guess there's that.
Yeah. So you kind of quickly got used to being on stage and performing.
Well, no, actually, I would say
no.
that's kind of a recent development. I had huge stage fright as a youngster. Yeah, it took a really long time to go over it, and honestly, I think it's been mostly being in this band that had me get over it, because like when we first played, like at Nito Burrito and other shows we did around that time, I was like an absolute statue.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to move. I'm not gonna smile. I'm just gonna sit there and play my part and leave me alone.
Yeah.
And Gavin's like, bro, you gotta move around a little bit. And I did. And when I'm having fun on stage, people have fun watching me have fun on stage.
Right. Yeah.
So
for sure.
that kind of just made me feel better about it. Anyway, I think the first performance of mine was probably a voice recital I did when I was like, I guess my first one I probably would have been like 10. And I was a soprano classical singer, and I sang a little what would be the first thing I ever did? The earliest one I can remember is a German song called what's it called? Die Forelle. There you go. It's the trout. Anyway, that's the first thing I ever did. It was horrifying.
All right, Gavin, we've heard Nathaniel's impression of you a couple times. Do you have a Nathaniel impression?
No.
Oh,
Good.
That's funny.
How did you? I forgot my question. What do you remember of the first time you put yourself out there to perform in front of strangers or in front of a crowd?
Yeah, again, it was a Smokestacks. It was a basement show. My friend Silas, his grandparents owned both sides of a duplex.
Oh, nice.
So the basement was huge. And so we introduced like a couple of bands in town that we knew, and we're like, hey, come play in this basement that's going to get like sweaty in 10 minutes. And so like it was so hot because I think it was, I don't remember when it was, but I just remember being so scared of messing up and looking lame, but only 15 people showed up, and then I stopped being a little nervous after that. Again, it was still my first band, and we were only in it playing shows actively for a couple months, and so I still was pretty statue-like the entire time I was in that. But yeah, it was a really fun experience getting to play for the first time, and I think after our first show, it really did spark that love to like get in front of people and do stuff. And yeah.
Harry, what do you got?
I played trumpet in 5th grade because they didn't have percussion or drums until 6th grade. So for 5th grade, I played trumpet for a year, and we played just a bunch of 5th grade level music. We played a song called Eagle Summit March, and it was okay. I had a really bad stage fright though until like high school. And even the first Atomsk show I played, which was October, it was not the Nito show because I wasn't there yet, but I remember being a little like, oh, this is back again. Ooh, but after that show, it just kind of melted away.
Yeah. Nice. If y'all could compare your guys' experiences to your most recent gig.
I'm gonna say like I'm gonna start this with the first show we had with Harry, because that's when we started like having new music and felt maybe a little less.
Stopped playing SpongeBob covers.
Yeah, stopped playing SpongeBob covers. And so first show was like awesome. We had 2 new songs to show to people after taking like I think like a 5-month break, and so like we got up and did our shit, and it was very nerve-wracking. I still felt very like statue-like, but afterwards we came back after 5 months, and it was a headlining show, and and it was so awesome to see that people actually remembered us and were like wanting to see us, and it was overall a great night to debut our new song, or 2 of them, I guess. Yeah, it was just the energy was awesome. And I mean, what about you guys?
No, and we're comparing that to the Dipper you guys played last week.
I think it's a great example to compare to like how nervous we were before versus now, because that whole set was honestly like totally scuffed. I don't think it went very well at all, but it didn't really matter. I mean, we were just being goofy on stage. One of Gavin's strings broke, and he just jumped in the crowd. Like, we had somebody else hop on stage and start screaming the lyrics to one of our songs. Just like, it was just a little party, and like I can definitely see past myself being like, oh my god, I didn't do it right, oh my god, but like I didn't care. It was fun. Everybody had fun, and all I saw was smiles when I looked in front of me.
That's definitely a big sign of growth.
Whatever.
Being able to not just handle a bad gig, but have fun still, because one bad gig doesn't mean, oh, I don't know how to play the bass anymore, I suck. Even though, maybe last night's gig and the night before were awesome, but if tonight's gig was bad, you're like, oh, I'm terrible. But no, when you get to the point where like, no, shit happens or whatever, or this crowd, or whatever it is, that you kind of just take it with it. Or when things fall apart, you're like, have fun, because what else are you going to do?
I was just about to say, like, even if we do have like a scuffed show or whatever, everyone in that crowd is like a friend of ours or we've talked to at some point, and so it never really feels, especially in Spokane, that we're performing to like a crowd of people. It more of just like, hey, that was my friend, he's two-stepping, or oh my god, my friends just started like a rowboat to our song, this is awesome. And then shout out Ryder, and then he always, like, afterwards you talk to them, they're always like, that was so awesome, even though like my string broke and I fucked up like half the song. And I don't know, it's always very welcoming in that. And I try not to take it like too personal when I mess up, because at a point it is a little hard, because like, oh, it's a little embarrassing, but also who cares? We had fun. I jumped off stage and hit people. It was awesome.
All right, you had mentioned a few influences for the band, but what are your guys' personal influences, even before this band?
Currently, I'm inspired by. I grew up listening to a lot of metal, like before. So, like the Rev from Avenged Sevenfold was a huge inspiration to me. All the drummers that played with Avenged Sevenfold are a huge inspiration for me. I was into a lot of Midwest emo. So like the Hotelier is a big one I'm a big fan of. They're good like classic Midwest emo. I like Origami Angel. They're a great they veer into like more pop punky stuff, and they're really technical. I love super technical music. Like Thank You Scientist. They're like a prog fusion band. And Swancore, as people have called them. And I like them a lot. They're one of my most listened. I'm gonna leave it at that.
Yeah, going like way back, honestly, people like Childish Gambino, Yeek, Thundercat, that was like kind of the main sphere of things I was listening to. Is just more rap, I guess, more hip-hop inspired things. I was never a big fan of trap, but it was okay sometimes. But then even later on, I guess, over the summer before I went into college, before I started Atomsk, it was like a lot of Title Fight, Kid Coast, Modern Color, Slumped. Man, I'm trying to remember. Just like all those punk, emo adjacent bands. I wasn't like crazy into shoegaze at that point. It was a lot of heavier bands. I was always listening to like bands that I knew were from Washington, or at least in my hometown, but I was still barely like taking my own wing into getting into that heavier type of music. Again, this like hard rock adjacent music is still very, very new to me, and so it's hard to pull a lot of inspiration when I'm thinking about pre-Atomsk.
This is Nathaniel from Atomsk, and you're listening to Ghost World on the Tri-Cities Mixtape.
All right. So next, we're gonna do the dream gig. Do you guys have? I guess what's the biggest venue in? Or do you guys have a favorite or biggest venue in Spokane or anywhere?
The Knitting Factory would be cool.
Okay, so you guys are playing the Knitting Factory. You guys are the opening band. The middle and the closer can be any band, any act from all of history.
Oh, from all of history?
All dead or alive. If
Oh
you
my
want
God.
Selena and Tupac and the Beatles, well, it don't have to be two bands. So, yeah, you guys can argue amongst yourselves.
Okay.
Well, actually, well, if you're gonna argue on microphone.
Okay.
And then I'll give you a few minutes. Again, so you guys are opening at the Knitting Factory, biggest show of your lives. Who is the middler? Who is the closer? And again, if you guys are going to argue amongst each other, do it on microphone.
Us.
I'll be right back.
Well, Modern Color has to be in there, right?
Modern
Title
Color
fight
title
has
fight
to be on there, right?
Us Modern Color title fight. Dream show.
We're done.
Well, all right.
I just wish we could have fit Fleshwater in there somewhere.
4-band bill.
Nope, 3-band bill.
Oh,
It's not a festival.
Oh, no.
Damn.
Unless you want to give them your spot and you guys don't play at all. You just watch the show.
I would be so okay with that.
Can we just go to a show that's Fleshwater Modern
No,
Color
we
title
have-
fight?
we
Can
have
we
to-
just go to that show?
Play with
No, you guys might have the record for the quickest. Maybe if Emmett was here, he would argue with y'all a bit, but
I think there'd be no contest.
Yeah,
Oh, really?
Honestly,
Yeah.
No, he'd be like the Beatles.
like the Beatles and Wings and, then John Lennon
Oh
solo.
my God. The Beach Boys.
Beach Boys, dude.
Yeah.
He
Yeah.
would love
So
to see
who would
Beach
who would
Boys.
be
It'd be us.
Modern Color, and then
title fight.
would be the like the headline.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Crazy.
All right.
That
It
place
is-
would be packed if title fight came through.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, all right, that's the dream gig. So, before the show, I had every member fill out a few guilty pleasure songs, and I'm going to read them out loud, and we're going to guess who chose these songs. And if it is you, try to play as if it's not. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you know it's you, like, name one of the other guys. Fucking lie, all right? Because you want to win, because you win nothing.
Yes, sir.
All right, Captain.
I love your enthusiasm. But all right, Atomsk, who do we think in your band chose the song Pokemon Ruby, the entire original soundtrack?
Harry.
Harry?
Yeah, I'm thinking Harry.
I'm thinking that's Gavin.
No,
No, that's Harry.
That's gotta be
I
Gavin.
think it's Harry. It was me.
That was
Oh,
Like,
no, no,
that's-
no.
That's gotta be Gavin.
Nice. Okay. Who chose the song Used and Abused by Beartooth?
Harry.
That sounds like a Gavin.
No, it's a Harry
I
song.
have
That
no idea what that
sounds
song
like a
is, so I don't know how
Gavin's.
to answer the question.
You just give it
That would be a good cover.
You know Gavin
is
loves
good.
Beartooth.
a bear claws.
I've never heard of Beartooth in my life.
Me either.
It's Harry's. 100%.
Yeah, he smiled after he said that. It's Harry. It's Harry.
That's a Harry?
That's a
yeah.
Harry one.
All right, that's
It's
a
a
Harry.
Okay.
Okay. Who picked the song Peekaboo by Kendrick Lamar?
That's Harry. I'm afraid.
That's got to be Harry.
It's fucking Harry.
They know you well, Harry. Come off by doing that. All right, who chose the song Backyard by Hot Mulligan?
That's got to be Harry.
Ooh,
No, that's
Gavin.
Gavin.
That's
That's
Gavin. That's
Gavin.
100%
That's Gavin.
Gavin.
That is Gavin.
Yeah.
Okay.
Bro, you're scaring me with that.
All right, who chose the song Clout Collapse by Andrew Huang? Oh, you referenced Andrew Huang earlier,
Oh,
so
my
you gotta,
bad. I fucked
you gotta
up.
shut yourself in there.
Get out.
I fucked up.
Yeah.
No, it's all
No.
right. He gave himself away early.
I mean, like, pretty much everybody I mentioned in that whole thing I was talking about is my Scare the Hose music. So
That's crazy.
all my major inspirations, Scare the Hose.
All right. Well, thank you guys for playing. But extra question: which of the songs named here would you guys be willing to cover with the instruments we have here in this room after the session?
Whoa! Out of all of them, or just the ones that you've mentioned?
I mean, you can go out of all of them, whatever. But of the
You guys
ones I
wanna do
mentioned
Funky
was
Galileo?
Peekaboo by Kendrick, Used and Abused by Beartooth, Pokemon, the entire soundtrack. You can't play that one. Backyard by Hot Mulligan, and Clout Collapse by Andrew Wong. But you can just pick whatever want from any of these if you like.
Do any of mine.
I don't-
I also put Funky Galileo by Sure Sure.
Okay.
Okay. Am I to assume since you're the vocalist, are you the main lyricist of the group?
Yeah.
All right.
You want
So
to sound a little excited about it?
Yes, I'm the front man
I
of the
wrote
band.
that shit.
Yeah.
So what is the writing process for Atomsk songs? Do they just start with usually guitar and a vocal, or do you guys jam it out?
Yeah, the process kind of goes with I write something maybe 4 bars long, and then I kind of work on it, think of a general structure. Then I bring it to Harry. We jam it out. We think of an even bigger structure throughout the entire song, what it will sound like, what kind of pedals we should be using, what kind of groove, how fast it should go. One of the most notable processes I've had with writing with Harry was our song Ghost World. I remember it was very baseless on just something very short, and I didn't know what to do with it. I took it to him, and we bounced off a couple ideas, and now it's one of my favorite songs. Yeah, but for lyrics, I'm gonna be so for real. I'm not like thinking weeks on lyrics. Our very last song off of this newest album we have, The Dust Behind Your Eyes. The last song is called Your Eyes, and that song took so long to write and to record. And as they were recording in the basement, I was upstairs writing lyrics, and I went downstairs. We did a couple takes, and that's that. So
okay.
So the lyrics usually take no longer than an hour, but they are very meaningful if it's stuff I've been thinking about a lot recently, or yeah. So I mean,
so you usually just kind of maybe reacting to the moment, or
either reacting to a moment or reflecting on something that I feel is unresolved.
Right.
And so yeah.
So, I mean, very common amongst musicians or lyricists especially, but is this like therapeutic for you to get this shit out?
100%. Oh
Yeah.
my God. I feel like significantly happier ever since I started doing this project and writing this album, because the entire album is about like struggles I've had growing up and how I've had to deal with them, or just things I'm not really proud of. I mean, our single that's out right now, Upstate Down North, that's about me constantly moving and struggling with being uprooted from place to place.
Yeah.
I mean, I've lived in 3 different states and moved 25 times within my entire life. And so it was just really rough. And I didn't really know how to cope with that until very recently. And you turn these songs that have a type of pressure and weight to them that's not necessarily positive, and then you go perform it in front of people who are smiling and cheering for you, and so then those memories no longer become associated with how you felt during then, but how you're feeling now when you perform it. So it's definitely really therapeutic for me, at least, because then I also get to go scream about it. I think about all these things that make me angry, I scream about it, and then we're done. And so yeah, I would definitely say it is therapeutic.
Okay, so you guys have any shout outs on it? You guys have mentioned Hayes Noble a few times, and Love Brunch.
Yeah,
Love Brunch. Any other bands or organizations or anything else you'd like to shout out? Any girls you want to shout out? Whatever.
Yeah. Well, I would like to highlight specifically one area. It's Barrel House Pizza and Pub in Cheney, Washington. That's where we're from. It's like 15, maybe 20 minutes out of Spokane. There's no scene there, but we would like to bring more attention to...
You guys want to make a scene there?
Yeah, just kind of, it's a college town, and there's not really much to do. And so it would be nice for people who live in the dorms or in high school that can't get out to Spokane to go see those shows. And so we've had a couple over at Barrel House Pizza, but we would like to shout...
Yeah, I mean, how many more venues or places that you could potentially play?
Nowhere. That's like the only one.
That's pretty much it.
Yeah, and so bringing a spotlight there. Shout out Grady
Anybody
Allen.
in Cheney wants to throw some house shows?
Please, I've been trying to get one set up.
It has a
for
dope
so
ass
long.
backyard or something.
But even our 2 shows that we played that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, 3 shows at Barrel House.
Well, they've been successful as hell
Yeah.
so far. People like it when we do that, so more people need to go do that.
Yeah.
And most of the time they're free. It is really just an opportunity for people who are stuck there to come down, get a slice of pizza, see some cool bands, get introduced to what they could be seeing in Spokane. But yeah, because that's what it's all about, is bringing music where it should be.
Yeah, well, no, and honestly, you guys see as you tour and get out more, when you go to these small random towns that nobody's heard of, they kind of appreciate you more because they don't get the big bands, or they don't get any bands sometimes for a long time. So they're usually very appreciative when anybody cares to stop by and rock out for them.
I've heard the Astoria scene is like that.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Astoria, Washington, or Oregon? I don't remember. It's over there. But I've heard that the shows get packed because people just want something to do.
Right.
Hell
yeah.
So yeah, I totally understand that.
So again, it is your guys' responsibility to create the scene in Cheney now.
Of course. Doing our best.
All right. You guys are pretty young, But if you had like words of wisdom for your younger selves or for any other little dorks trying to start a band with their college buddies or whatever, what would you say?
Practice at least once a week.
That's crazy. Yeah.
Practice
With a metronome, bitch.
Well, I mean, together, like
You
as a
gotta rehearse
band.
once a week.
I mean, like, yes, rehearse with everyone at least once a week. I mean, that I found that just really helped us just kind of keep it concise and consistent. And also, don't be scared. What's there to be scared of? They're gonna cheer for you at the end. They just, and also, like, don't be ashamed that you're doing this. Like, I am so proud of this project. I'm so proud of the people in it, and there's never been a moment where I'm just like, I am so ashamed. I've always like.
It's funny. I was driving yesterday, and I was thinking, I'm like, it sounds really embarrassing to be a musician. You know, you're just like, hey guys, there were some songs, and they're about my feelings, and I want you guys to listen to them. And
Yeah.
blah, blah, blah. But then I was thinking, I don't give a fuck. It's awesome. It's
Yeah.
like crack, dude. When you get on stage and you connect with people, you make people dance or fucking cry or move them in
Or
some
hit
way.
each other in the
Yes.
face.
Yes.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah, my homeboy went to a show in Spokane last week. He almost got a concussion. And maybe it was at the Dipper.
yeah.
Wait, was that your guys' show? I don't know.
Last week?
No.
Oh,
Actually, I
okay.
don't know. Never mind. My dates will be off.
Yeah.
But hell yeah. I
But
love that.
there's nothing to be ashamed about.
Yeah.
For especially with self-expression, like your inhibitions are your biggest enemy.
Yeah.
And I know that kind of sounds corny, but also I don't care.
Yeah.
Just get out and do it. It's gonna be a little rocky. I know it was rocky for us when we first started, but you kind of have to go through that with anything.
This is
when-
Atomsk, and you're watching the Disney Channel.
Yeah.
I was thinking about that earlier when we did the names of the songs. That's what it felt like doing the Disney Channel thing. But yeah, I think one of like the core values of the way that we write together is we write stuff because we think it sounds cool and we
Yeah.
have fun playing it.
Yeah.
And there's no other
That's
reason
all
for
that
writing
matters.
anything.
Yeah.
And somebody told me this one time. I was writing a song that I kind of thought sounded weird, but when I played it originally, I liked it and I was ready to just delete that project. They told me, if you heard it that first time and you thought it was good, that probably means that there was something good about it.
Yeah.
And so, don't get on that self-doubt train once you've heard a project, 10 or 20 times. If you liked it when you first made it, it's because there's something good about it and it's worth showing to people.
Yeah, and you have to trust that. You gotta teach yourself to trust that.
Yeah.
Your initial instinct.
Yeah. And just be real with yourself. I don't know. I feel like I keep saying that, but I don't think any of us in Atomsk have ever pretended to be something we're not. Like, we're goofy as shit. We'll shit post on the TL. And, like...
We started with SpongeBob covers.
We started with SpongeBob covers, yeah.
Awesome.
And so...
So I heard you guys are gonna play an Evanescence cover tonight. Who's doing?
That was
who's doing
so
the rap part?
awesome. Can I sing?
Yeah.
Yeah, Gavin has to do the rap part.
Yes.
Can't wake up.
No!
Wake me up inside.
Yes.
Save me. You gotta do that.
Save me!
Yeah.
Yes. Oh, this was awesome. Any words of wisdom here, Harry?
I could not say anything better than these guys.
Oh, okay.
That was beautiful.
All right. So yeah, I do want to thank you guys for coming and sharing your story and your songs. And shout out to Emmett. And again, this was Atomsk, Tri-Cities Mixtape. Whoop.
Whoop! Boom.
Boom.
Wait.
Boom.
Boom.
Good night, y'all.
This is Atomsk
And you're listening to
Your eyes.
on the Tri-Cities Mixtape.